It's that time of year again. Playoffs. And exams. Oh well, let's hurry this up so maybe I can get back to studying a bit, and then have a bit of extra time to maybe watch some games. Let's start this off in the West, where we have Vancouver facing off against Chicago. Another rematch of last year where in the semis, Chicago upset Vancouver. Vancouver's 2-1-1 against Chicago in the season. Now, Vancouver also won the President's Trophy, so it should be no surprise that they're actually the favorites to win. However, they have a few notable injuries to keep track of, as in Rafi Torres and Manny Malhotra. Big thing there, Manny Malhotra, he was actually first in the league in faceoff draws, so that could actually come down and bite Vancouver in the butt. However, they have such depth in the Sedin twins, Luongo, their defensive core. Chicago squeaked into the playoffs, only winning because Dallas lost. It wasn't very solid. I gotta give this one to Vancouver, and no surprise, I give them a sweep over Chicago. Nothing close. It's to our second setup, San Jose versus LA. San Jose took the season series 3-1-2. And they both have some notable injuries. San Jose mainly being Nickel and Flo, but Flo could be back. LA's top two scorers are actually injured right now. Williams could be back, but Kopitar is out for sure. San Jose has actually been riding a hot streak lately, and as much as they're prone to be choking, I got to give this one to them. But I say LA wins one. I give this one to San Jose 4-1. Except Detroit and Phoenix. Detroit has been in the playoffs almost every year as long as I can remember. They have so many veterans: Franzen, Zetterberg, Datsu, just to name a few. If Howard can step it up, they always have a shot. Like, you saw what they did with Osgood. Imagine if they got like an actual goalie, but they're going up against Phoenix and Ilya Brizgalov, and he's been known to steal a few games. So we got to see what happens. This could be kind of interesting. But Mike Babcock has been in the playoffs countless times. He's got a system. It obviously works. He's got a few Stanley Cup rings under his belt, and you know what? I got to give this to Detroit 4-1. Finally, our last matchup is Anaheim and Nashville, which is probably going to be one of the most interesting ones of the West. Anaheim actually lost the season series 3-1 to Nashville, but they put on a strong pace and they got back in the standings and actually got home ice advantage. However, you got to keep in mind the West was 4th through all the way to 8th, was only separated by 2 points, so it could have gone any way. Anaheim is without Hiller, but he's expected to be back in the lineup. And Nashville is losing their top scorer in Martin Erat, but he's expected also to be back. Nashville's actually riding a hot streak, and they're both actually doing very good. Anaheim being 7-3 in their last 10 games, and Nashville being 7-2-1. So we're going to see how this plays out. However, Nashville's obviously got to just stand up and shut down Perry and Ryan. If they can just get those two just off the score sheet, no problem. But my big thing here in this series that you got to watch out for is Pekka Rinne. Not many people talk about it, but he is probably one of the most underrated goalies in my mind. Like, he's got a .93 save percent average, a 2.12 goals against average. Nashville Predators actually have the second lowest goals against in the NHL, and no one really talks about them. I mean that, if they can shut down them, keep their scoring off, even though Nashville's not the best scoring team, a few goals, and Pekka Rinne and their defensive core should have them. This would be a very close one. I was stuck on this one for a while, but I'm going to have to give the edge to Nashville in 7 games. That brings us to the East, which I'm much more comfortable and aware of, seeing as how I'm from Toronto. First series, Washington and New York Rangers. The East is a little bit different than the West. It's a lot more spread out. However, teams are picking up their pace at the right time of year, and this could be a little bit tricky for people who predict the playoffs, like me. But I'll do my best. We'll see what happens. Washington and New York Rangers. New York actually won the season series 2-1-1. However, you gotta look. They have some notable injuries both. Washington's missing Weidman and Pody, and New York Rangers have Callahan actually out of the lineup, which could come back and bite them because he was one of their top scorers. However, the Rangers have been pulling it on lately. They have, with the exception of their second last game against Atlanta, They have pulled on quite the streak, quite the hot streak actually. All those teams fighting for the playoffs have. And Washington's kind of been steady up there. They've been winning their games. I'm not taking anything away from them because they maintained that position, their top spot, did it by winning games. But New York Rangers have fought some pretty amazing games. I've watched them. They've been very intense, very playoff-ish hockey. And they have John Tortorella behind their bench, who obviously has plenty of experience. They have a really balanced team. Lundqvist in net, he's always known to step it up in the playoffs. And New York Rangers have always been that team that's always kind of been put under in the playoffs, and they seem to step it up. And whether or not they win the first round or not, they've always given the team a run for their money and have done better than people expected. Washington, on the other hand, they've always been a team that's been expected to go far. But they've always had some point where they've got knocked out, and people kind of thought, oh, they shouldn't have. And again, it seems like it's coming down to goaltending, which is typical when you're spending all that money on that offense. Their goalie experience in Michael Neuvirth he's good, but he clearly doesn't have the NHL or the playoff experience that many of the Washington hopefuls would expect. And this could come back and bite them in the ass, especially with the Rangers just heating up like they are right now, and with the fact that it's just coming to playoff hockey. I ought to give this one an upset to Rangers, 4-2. Philly and Buffalo split the season series. Buffalo has have 9 players with over 35 points. Philly with over 10. Clearly, it's not going to be one person that you guys shut down because this team is just deadly from all rounds, both of them. However, this one's going to come down to goaltending as well, with Bobrovsky, who's been actually playing really well, but doesn't have the experience that Brian Miller does. And with Enroth stepping it up like he is, they got a few options, Buffalo. The big issue here, the main thing, is Buffalo is just turning it on. They've been having to fight with Carolina, Rangers, and the Leafs for that last spot, and they've held them off. They've won every game. It was a close match. They're actually 8-1-1 in their last, and they're turning it on right when they need to, which could be key. And Philly's kind of been going the opposite way, where they're actually 3-4-3 in their last, and they're one of the teams that has lost points to teams fighting for that last playoff spot, such as Buffalo. Let the good times keep rolling, Buffalo. Buffalo in 5. Boston and Montreal, a good interdivision battle. This one will be good. Boston actually lost the season series, surprisingly, 2-3-1. No big notable injury. I've noticed actually Ryan Gianna's really stepped up his play. He's looking like the old Gianna that used to play on the Devils, going harder than that, picking up those rebounds, getting those dirty goals that you need someone to. If he can play like that, this could be a really interesting series. Also, another interesting stat, Montreal's Carey Price, in all of his 8 NHL playoff starts, he has gone 0-8 with a goals against average over 4. He has not let in less than 3 goals in any of the games. And every other time he's had Halak to come in and play, and he's been stellar. This year they have Alex Auld, and I'm not sure if he's going to be able to do it, but you're going to need people like Carey Price to step it up, and I'm not sure if he can. Boston only actually has one 30-plus goal scorer, actually only has 30 goals, Lucic. Everyone else is underneath. They're getting their scoring from those nitty-gritty plays, the hard-working, those third and fourth lines. Your first 2 lines are still producing, but you're getting a lot of even. Again, something that you can't just shut down one player. You're going to have to shut down the entire team. It's very hard to do. And the fact that they have Tim Thomas up back there stopping all those pucks, it's going to be very tough for Montreal. They're going to need to get right on Tim Thomas, make it hard for him to see, do their best. It's going to be very tough. However, I got to give this one to Boston, 4-3. Pittsburgh and Tampa Bay. They split the season series also. Both teams are streaking and have impressive records of late. The big notable issue here is the injuries. Tampa Bay is without Hedman, but he's actually expected to come back on the first game. Mainly Pittsburgh, they are severely handicapped in losing Crosby, Malkin, Cook. Crosby, he's played 41 games and is still the leading goal scorer on the Pittsburgh Penguins at 66 goals. At that pace, he was set for 132 points. Imagine if they had him, but then without him. Malkin, he's out. He's one of their top scorers too. Matt Cook, always known to get on their skin and knock people off their game. And he can still produce goals. Wow. But it's going to be really tough for Pittsburgh. And speaking of Crosby, check out this dirty exam facial hair. Or lack thereof. Pittsburgh's main goal has to be to shut down the main 3 players on Tampa Bay in St. Louis, Stamkos, and LeCavalier. If they can do that and have Marc-Andre Fleury shut down the rest, let him get a few goals, and pick up whatever whatever garbage goals they can, they may have a chance. But again, Pittsburgh is missing two of their top players. It's very hard when new people step up. And although I do believe that new people will step up, I feel that they will fall short to Tampa Bay. And I got to give this one another interesting battle. Tampa Bay in 7 games. So that's about the end. We'll see what happens. I'll make a second round playoff video. Good luck next week.